Hello, and welcome to Your Brand Express podcast, the podcast where business owners, authors, coaches get a chance to articulate their processes and how they express their brands. With your hosts, Carl and CJ Alleyne. Get your favorite cup of coffee or tea and get a notepad and enjoy the ride.
If you're somebody that's trying to overcome the fear of creating content, you are not alone. Whether you're an author, whether you're a public speaker, whatever the case may be, it's so easy to get intimidating by creating content. There's so many misconceptions about creating content, whether it's easy or not, whether you need this or not. We'll be sharing tips for you guys on basically how to engage your audience while making the content that you want to create. What's up, y'all? It's your boy, CJ Alleyne, also known as No Limit CJ, and this is
Carl Alleyne, known as Carl Alleyne.
Sorry. We're going to dive in on basically how to become a better content creator, how to get over that fear of turning on the camera, recording, and getting started.
So CJ, it's interesting, I know this is a hot topic, creating content, whether you're a coach or author, service provider, public speaker, people are thinking I don't have anything in me. I don't have ideas to put out there. I don't have anything to give to the world. And that is furthest from the truth. We all have something to give to the world, to serve to the world. And we have content. It's just about learning it. It's a skill set.
I agree with that 100%. I think we should start out with the first common misconception that you need to be perfect. Let me tell you this. I feel like a lot of people are holding up their content or just what they want to post because they feel like you have to be perfect. You got to make the perfect content. You need the perfect equipment, this, that, and the third. I feel like, man, you just got to get started. I feel like the biggest hurdle is just pressing the record button, whether it's on your iPhone, your old iPhone 8, yours on your tablet, just getting started. That's if you look at a lot of people like Mr. Beast, you look at all the successful artists and stuff like that. They started with what they had. They use what they have, and they're trying to figure out what their gift is, which is trying to become a public speaker or whatever the case may be. So I think just getting started is the best thing you can do, rather than waiting for equipment and all that stuff. Because then when you get that equipment, how are you gonna know to use it? It's like once you figure out what you have and then you upgrade, it's almost going to make it a lot easier because you know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing before you level up in a way, man, you're in for success.
I love that. I agree with that. Just the idea of starting where you're at. I know for me, and honestly, I've been doing content for years now. And even back in the early 2000s, I've done content. Actually, even before that, I put out content, and that's one of the hardest things. And the mindset back then was so different. Now it's so different. Now it's changed so much where, not saying you got to put stuff out haphazardly, but a lot of us struggle with even getting started, and then it's that, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, imposter syndrome. For some people it's different. I know for me as an artist, I'm a perfectionist. I like things to be right and at the right time, but there will never be a right time, CJ, That's one thing I had to think about and understand. There's never going to be a right time. There's never going to be a perfect time. So I love what you talked about when you said, just get started, man.
Man, it's crazy. Like getting started with anything is like the only way you do something, right? And sometimes we're like, oh, I need this to start. No, you just need what you have. And, God gave you everything that you have to start exactly where you are.
Right. And I think about too, just the idea of, I don't know if people feel this out there, even with behind their perfectionism, and maybe even a little bit of imposter syndrome. But I know for me, sometimes the concern would be, man, I want to come across like I have integrity. I want to be honest with myself. Truth of the matter is, when you put yourself in a position to teach someone, you're going to feel that need to level up. And you got to make sure you don't cut corners. You got to make sure you're on that path to level up and get better every time. As long as you have that mindset, you got to go for it. You got to go for putting the contents out there and not worry about being perfect. So 100%, my man. The next one is, some people think you need to have fancy equipment to create content. Now, I laugh at this one, CJ, because I love geeking out with equipment. I'm not going to lie. And I love the latest gadgets and the new phones and the new cameras and what the coolest thing is now. I just personally love that. But for me, I have to be careful that I don't let that get in my way with putting content out. Because like you mentioned, just getting started is important. You don't need the fancy gadgets. Like you mentioned, you can have an iPhone. If you have an iPhone 8, you can have that. You know, when you put out content, you can do blogs, you can do video, you can do live videos, you can do pre-recorded videos. And so most of the equipment that's out there now, even the basic equipment, can handle those platforms and have handle those avenues. So
Right.
it's important to just go for it, not worry about the fancy equipment.
100%. I want to also clarify with the last point. I'm not saying like go to like an iPhone 3 and try to like that probably won't work. I don't know if it has other services, but nowadays,
I hope you don't have an iPhone 3.
no, but even with today's day and age, everything's just getting more advanced. I feel like everything has the basics that you need. Like I thought I needed a DSL camera, and it's helpful for what I have right now. But really, like an iPhone can record up to 4K now, and like so that's like what that's movie quality. So I mean, especially with how things are going right now, you could really work with what you got. Your iPhone, this iPhone editing apps, CapCut, right? For instance, like CapCut that wasn't around when I was starting, but CapCut I've seen Stephen Curry use CapCut, and that's Stephen Curry. He doesn't need CapCut. He probably the most expensive thing, but you don't need the fancy stuff to get started and start making progress. There's also a misconception that content needs to be like long and complicated. That's not necessarily true. I feel like with especially actually the way things are going right now, short content is taking over. Like that's a shift for me because I like to make longer content away. Like you hear like for instance, if you guys are into YouTube, you hear like most videos are like 8 minutes to get monetized and stuff like that. They literally almost were forced to add monetization to short videos. So that's how much they're taking over. So that's a shift for anybody. Like that's a shift for me. But just to let you know that you don't need to talk for a long period of time to have successful content. I think they're trying to boost the wave of quick and straight to the point, funny videos. You'll see anything on TikTok go viral. Like I think you can just give what you have, any insight, any funny jokes, whatever you're going for. If you have a message, even if you have a message to say, like, you read something and you felt like it was powerful, you can share like a 30-second, 60-second summary, and that can really be successful for you. So I think you don't have to worry about like the length and everything. Like I just worry about getting your message out that you feel like you have to say.
Right on. And I love it. I love the time that we're in, CJ. Like you mentioned, it doesn't have to be long.
Right.
And I love that. For me, I love that because putting out content, I think for me, my strength was putting out shorter things.
Yeah.
But I challenge myself to put out longer things as well. But the cool thing is when you put out short content, you can build up to longer content if you want as well.
Right.
You don't just have to feel like you got to get a whole gamut of a whole length, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, 3 hours. It can be short. And I love the time now because with organic marketing, and for those who don't know, there's organic marketing and there's ads. You run advertisements, which you pay for, or you do organic marketing, which is pretty much free. And you just have to know each platform and respect each platform and be able to know how it works with each platform. So with organic marketing, and you're able to put out shorter videos now, Facebook Reels, at the time we're speaking now, TikTok, Instagram Reels, even sort of short form videos on LinkedIn or YouTube Shorts. That's powerful. And basically, some of those platforms are in competition with each other with the short form videos. So you, right now, as we speak, in this time right now, are at an advantage. It can change 6 months from now. It can change a year from now. But right now is a time where you can do short form videos and short form content, which I love.
It's facts.
Facts, and I love it. So let's go for it, y'all. Put that short
Get
form
started.
video out.
Get started, man.
Put that short. You could even do quotes. Quotes are
Right.
powerful as well. People value other people's quotes, but everyone has a quote to give. But we just don't value the things that we say, and it's important that we value. That's another topic, I know, but
Facts.
you
We
know,
can speak on that for a while. For real. I
right?
think everybody has their own story to tell, and like no one can tell
Everyone
anybody.
has
So it's
Right. Everyone has their own story to tell. And, there's no one on this planet. I love telling clients this. There is no one on this planet like you, and no one on this planet who has the value that you have to give. And there will be people on this planet that will not resonate with other people saying the same message as you, but they'll resonate with you because of your story, your experience, and what you bring to the table. So it's important, put that short form content out. Go for it. It doesn't have to be long. Another misconception out there, CJ, is that people feel like you need to have a budget. You need to have this huge budget to put out content, to market, to get your brand out there, to express your brand. And nothing can be further from the truth. We like I touched on before, organic marketing. I love that. I love organic marketing because you don't have to spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on your content. Now, while it is really good to run ads, I'm a fan of that. A lot of people make a killing. They're killing the game right now with just doing organic marketing. And the platforms are favoring it. Now, you got to follow the rules. You can't be going out and spamming people. You got to figure out what, or get someone to coach you and help you to figure out what are the best ways to go when it comes to putting out content. But if you put out content with organic marketing, you don't have to have a huge budget. And that's the beauty of the times that we're in now. Put out the content. Now you got to be consistent. And
Yeah.
what you do have to pay is the sweat equity. You have to put in the time or hire someone to put in the time or get coaching on what strategies you can use. And by the way, yes, it's important to get coaching because you don't want to just put out content just to put out content. Because if you don't have a strategy, you might look back 6 months from now and say, man, why didn't I get results? That's because you didn't have a strategy. You got to have a strategy. But once you have a strategy in place, you're following the rules, you're going with the momentum of the platform. I like that. Momentum of the platform.
Right.
You will get results. You're most likely to get results. And that's super, super important. Would you agree, CJ?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think just some people think that you need like the most expensive things to go, but I think just having like in a way a budget, you don't have to have like the most expensive budget, but I think just like starting out with whatever and then going consistent with it. Consistency is like really like the most important part. Because someone with the most expensive setup, if they post just all scattered, they have no plan, they might not. Nowadays, I feel like you're not going to do as good as someone that has an iPhone and is cranking out content consistently and putting their best foot forward with what they got. And so that's why you don't need to necessarily have all this to get started.
Facts. It's very true because the plans are important. If you don't have the right strategy, like I mentioned, you won't get results. So you gotta have a solid strategy. The strategy is super, super important. Yeah, and there are people who have a solid budget, but they're not getting the results because the strategy is not solid, and they're not doing it according to the rules of the platform, or they're cutting corners, and they might be cutting corners and might not even know it.
Right.
But it's important to go in with a solid strategy, with a solid game plan, and go with the momentum of the platform. So, right on, my
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely. I feel like another misconception too, actually, is some people feel like they need to know everything to get started. Some people feel like they need to get like the most knowledge. They need to know everything before they get into it. And I feel like that's not true. I feel like honestly, like I guess I can speak from my experience. I was like 11 years old doing YouTube. So, I don't know. I couldn't tell you how I did it. Like, to be honest, I couldn't tell you how I knew what to do, but I feel like sometimes you can almost see what people are doing and you can incorporate it in a way. I don't know. That's the way I look at it. I feel like if you could just get to the river, like the term, like if you get to the river, like you'll kind of figure out how to fish. I can't tell you how to do this or that, but I feel like I will tell you that you don't need to know everything to get started. You don't need to read like a whole manual. There's almost no manual to YouTube. There's guides, there's techniques that work, but there's no like pure factor way that will help you like be successful. So I feel like the best way to do it is just go by the pond, try to go fish, try to just get you some, try to practice, just practice editing a video. If you just find out about a video editor like CapCut, get on the app, try to experiment with it. You don't have to know everything to get started, and there's tutorials out there to help you. There's nothing wrong with using tutorials. I use tutorials still. But I think just, trying to get started, getting to the curb in a sense and just going for it. Just
Right. Right on. No, I must say though, I believe you can break it down, CJ, if you reverse engineer it, because you have a lot of experience. Yeah, doing YouTube since 11 years old. That's a
yeah.
long
Well, yeah.
time of just experiencing trial and error. And so as we're moving forward, I look forward to you sharing your experiences as you reverse engineer, how you got the success that you've gotten and how you've gotten to where you've gotten now. And the pitfalls that you fell into and the mistakes you made and the lessons that you learned.
Right.
So absolutely, dude, you got this, man. You got this.
Appreciate that.
I look forward to hearing your knowledge, you know. But yeah, it's you don't need a lot of technical. And I'll say this too for those, and I'll reiterate. I think I said this before, but I'll reiterate it for those who you might be listening and saying, you know what? Okay, I hear what you're saying about the training, but I got no time to do it. This is too overwhelming for me. I have no bandwidth running my business or preparing my speeches or just trying to learn how to memorize things and all this. You might be so overwhelmed. There's nothing wrong with getting a coach or getting a company or a program that can help serve you, that can help do the work for you, a done for you program. By the way, we have a done for you program as well. Little plug on the side right there.
No.
But there's nothing wrong with getting the help you need with that because some people need that, and if that's not your lane, that's not your thing, that's totally fine. But the whole goal of at the end of the day is just getting your content out there because you have an audience to serve. There are people literally waiting out there right now, who are hopeless. There are people out there right now who are overwhelmed and frustrated because they don't know how to get their brands out there, or they don't know how to they're not the service that you have to provide. They're not getting their needs met, and they have to figure out, or they don't know how to figure out. And so, this is if this your calling, or if there's something you desire to do, yeah, go for it. Do what you need to do to get your brand out there. Do what you need to do to get your content out there. But at the end of the day, you don't need all this technical knowledge. And I must admit, I'm guilty as one who I'm like that. But I've learned to, I still desire to get the knowledge and get as much knowledge as possible because I just love it. I love swimming in the knowledge. But I make sure I discipline myself to take the action, because if I don't take the action, I'm gonna be stuck. And I don't like being stuck. Then I have to figure out how to get unstuck, and then it's a whole cycle. And I'm like a gerbil on a hamster wheel, or hamster on a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So take the action. There's nothing wrong with learning as much as you can if that's what you want to do. Make sure you take the action. You don't have to. You don't need to know all the technical knowledge to get rocking.
Right.
And also, here's another misconception. You ready for this one, CJ?
Right.
A lot of people think that content takes a lot of time, a ton of time, and they feel like it takes forever. And I get it. I've been there. I felt like, there are times, and I can still feel that way, like, wow, it takes a lot of time to do this. No, the reality is it doesn't. The reality is the important thing is you want to get a good system for yourself. You want to systematize the things you have to do. And if you need someone to help you or coach you on it, that's fine too. Get a good system that's going to work for you. Once you get a good system, you want to test the systems out, because you might have a system that might work for you, might not work for you. I mean, there are a lot of systems out there that work really well, but it may not align with your values. It may not align with your personality. It may not align with you being authentic. Now, if you don't want to be authentic, that's up to you, but if you want to be authentic, you might have to test out a couple of systems and say, you know what? I love that system right there. That's me all day.
Right.
You could say, you know what? I tried this for 90 days. This isn't working. Okay, how can I adapt? That's the trick. That's the thing you want to do. You want to be able to adapt quickly, as quickly as possible. Because, yeah, these things go by fast. So much information goes on social media every day. People are overwhelmed. They say that our attention span is that of a goldfish. About 7 seconds, right? A little over 6 seconds, 7 seconds. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, I don't fully agree with that. The idea is that we're distracted. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I appreciate that when people say that, because that tells me, yeah, we're the distracted society. And so we have to make sure, if you're giving content, make sure that you're productive with giving it and systematizing it, but it doesn't have to take a long time. You can systematize it, for example, where you do a video, and the video can be turned into shorter form videos, like CJ mentioned earlier, short form videos. And then it can be turned into quotes. It can be turned into 3 words. It can be turned into taglines. You could have pictures that have a couple of the words from the video. And that you just made a whole bunch of content for a given week or a given month. You can stretch it out. It's just being consistent and putting the content out there as well.
Right. And that's facts though. I think it's all trial and error and also consistency. Like honestly, I've used this editor that I use, Sony Vegas. Like my first time, it literally took me 2 days. It took me 2 days to edit a 8-minute video, or a video that was 8 minutes length. But I was like, but that's part of learning it though. I feel like it's a learning curve to go from one thing to another. So like doing that while having distractions is probably gonna take you longer, right? But as time goes on, you'll know the tips and tricks. You'll know you might have like a filter that you use, like a template that you can use to get started. And templates are really good, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I think if you use those, like you'll figure out those along the way. That's what I'm saying. Like you don't need to know everything before we get started. But when you get started, you'll figure out, oh, well, I could have shrunk that time if I did this. And that's how you learn a lesson. You don't just know it off the rip. So I think like he said, I think that's true. I think it just gets better with time, and it gets quicker with time too. You can make, shorter form content, and also shorten the time that it takes to do another thing too.
Right on. That resonates, CJ. And I think about it too. When we're putting content out, one thing I love doing, and which I love so much about this time that we're living in, is that market research. People don't use that phrase anymore. Market research is important, right? But market research is speaking one-on-one or one-on-two with your customers or your audience and finding out what they need. I wasn't able to do that years ago. There's a lot. I had to hire someone to do it for me, or I had to do it myself, and it took a long time to do the research. But that's it's such a more of a straight line of market research. That's an example, just having that conversation, and once you get that conversation, or once you get that answer from them, what they need and what they're struggling with, what their pain point is, what is the hardest thing for them, what their dreams and desires are. You could speak your content to them. You could have that conversation through the content. And I'm like, that's one of the things that blows me away and blows my mind the most. Like I could have direct contact and direct conversation with my customers and my audience, who aren't my customers yet, but they're thinking. They're thinking about what they want to do, and they're still struggling with where they want to go, and they're trying different things out. And all that's fine, because you got to test out and see what's going to work for you. You got to work with the best service provider or product that's going to work for you. But for you, if you're a coach, if you're an author, if you're a speaker, if you're a podcaster, putting out the content, but get the information from people, ask them questions in your audience. And the beauty of that is this. Check this out. You ready for this, CJ?
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of that is that you're having a conversation, and they feel like they're being heard.
It's facts.
That's facts. And that's super, super important. So yeah, I love what you said about that. It doesn't have to take a long time. There's so many ways. And I love when you talked about templates. Templates are powerful. You have template. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do it again. You have whether it's a written template or bullet points from what you have to say and with a speech or whatever, or a script. Powerful. Go for it. Use that template. Use it until the wheels fall off, as I say.
Right. Or until you want to level up. You can build off the template, So many things you can do with templates, man. That's like almost another podcast.
Right on.
I'll even say one more thing too, actually. I'd say another misconception that people have, or maybe even going along with it, is like, I don't know if I would want to do this for long term. Some people, I've heard some people not start YouTube because they feel like, I don't know what I want to do. I like so many things, right? I feel like you almost got to experiment, because you might hear, if you guys ever try to get into, whether it's YouTube, being an author, of just sticking to one subject. I've heard a lot of people be like, well, I like basketball, but I also like drawing too, for instance, right? It might be two different things. I feel like you should try to almost figure out what you like to do and how long could you do it for. And sometimes you don't need to know the answer right away. Sometimes you just got to do it and feel like, I'm not feeling this right now. I don't know if I want to feel like doing this long term. Content is not necessarily supposed to be perfect by no means. It's just, I feel like starting out is just you trying to figure out what you want to do. So you might want to try playing basketball. You might want to go to drawing. You might want to try to go to vlogging. Try all those things, but figure out, do it so consistently that you'll figure out, okay, this is what I really want to do, and I'm gonna do this for a little while. So I guess I don't feel like it, and you can figure out what you're gonna be doing for long term. That's where I started. For me, I'm a gamer, so I like playing a lot of games. I've tried NBA 2K. I've tried Fortnite, Minecraft, WWE. I tried so many games, but I realized this game right here, I feel like, I enjoy it. I play it often with my friends. Like, let me try to play this for a little bit. Let's see what happens. And I ended up after, I wouldn't say that was a wasted time at all, because I got to learn exactly what I wanted to do. And I finally figured out that, 2K is something that I love and passionate about. So I'm gonna run with that. And the people I watch all the time do the same content. So, it's all trial. I won't even say trial and error. I'd say just, sometimes it's like riding a bike. You go fall, but you'll get back up and figure out, okay, this is how I need to do it. I want to say
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. And just so you all know, CJ has the background of being a YouTuber with gaming, and now he's expanded his horizons, doing it for clients, we working together, which is really cool. But I love that you come from that background, CJ, because you have tons of interaction with people, and that's a huge billion-dollar industry, and I know that what I love about working with you is that you bring a fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective. Where with me, I come from the background learning. Okay, well, this is what you do with products. This is what you do with service providers. This is what you do with coaching, and all that stuff is incredible. But I know for me, I love to evolve and grow. So it's like to get the best of both worlds and test out and try out and see what works for our clients is super, super important. So I love that you have that background, and I know from the side of the, working with service providers and coaches and podcasts and authors, there's that back and forth with, hey, you need to niche down or you shouldn't niche down. And the truth of the matter is everyone's different. So we can't put ourselves in a box. It's a very dangerous thing to put ourselves in a box. I've seen people who've made millions of dollars, but they're not happy at all. So it depends on what kind of quality of life you want. For some people, that works really well. For me, that didn't work well because I came from the entertainment industry. So even for me, I'm leaving legacy is the top thing for me. And I know I'm gonna make money along the way, and I'm making money along the way, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm thinking about the numbers because the numbers got to add up, right? And the numbers have to increase, and we have to invest in things like that. And we have a family to feed, right? But there's also the side of things that gives me joy, because the numbers don't give me joy. The legacy gives me joy. Now, having the money to spend to go on vacation and travel, that gives me joy too. But there's a balance that I got to strike. If I don't strike that balance, I'm going to be very burnt out and very unhappy. And I got burnt out from the entertainment industry, and I decided I ain't going back to burn out anymore. So when I put out content, I do niche down with certain things. Other things I don't. I do it according to my values and my compass of what steps of legacy do I want to leave. So that works for me. So you have to ask yourself the question, what's going to work for you? It is good to look at both sides of the coins. Do I niche down? Do I focus on my avatar? I personally love that because I get a chance to speak directly to that specific target audience, that specific individual. And I like to speak like I'm speaking to one person, like I'm doing right now for those watching the camera, right? So it's a balance to strike, and that sometimes that can get frustrating and confusing. What you have to do is be patient with that side of things. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to be patient with the process. If you're in it to say, hey, let me get rich quick or anything like that, you're going to be disappointed. You might be successful, but for me, I don't want to take that gamble. If I do something, I want to be wholehearted with it, put my whole self into it, and I want to do it according to my value system and leave a legacy with it. And thank God the money's coming. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and it's come too. So that's the cool thing about it. So for you, you have to ask yourself, what do I want to focus on? It's a trial and error. I got to test different things out. And how can I be disciplined as I'm doing that? Because you don't want to be undisciplined. You don't want to be all over the place. You want to definitely focus on what you want to do. And sometimes some people, they might need coaching on that to talk through the pros and the cons. You know, again, take your time with the process. Don't stress out with the process, but the process is what teaches you the most sometimes in life. You know, that makes sense, CJ?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like the thought sometimes, like I look at it as like sometimes the thought of like the finish line, it's like a gift and a curse, because like sometimes it might be like, dang, I'm not here. Like, why am I not here? Like, I'm messing up. I'm not doing good. And that when you focus on that, it messes up the process. It makes the process feel like, bro, I'm stuck. Like, I'm not supposed to be where I'm at. But I look at it as like the finish line is like, you know, like the chill spot. But the process is like the fun, like the figuring out, okay, this is what is fun. I'm gonna ride out with this, and then it's not fun. Let's try to figure it out. Figuring out can be a game, but it could also be a game of being stuck, and that's not fun. Being stuck's not fun. But looking things at like as games for me is helpful. Like I look at things so it's like, you know, well, this is not the easiest thing in life, but it's a game. I can figure this out, you know, by continuing and keep going forward one step at a time. So I agree with that completely. I think just having a good perspective on it could be helpful.
Right. And I love that. You making it a game, gamifying it.
Yeah.
I love saying gamifying, because you gamify it. That's important for your mental state too. You know, in you know, feeling like if you feel like it takes a long time to do the content, or it's a long process or what have you, if you gamify it and make it fun, it makes your production better.
Right.
I'm not talking about all the technical stuff. I'm talking about you producing the content, you putting the content out, you distributing the content. It makes it so much better, because if you're having fun, guess what? Other people are going to want to have fun too.
Right.
If you're not having fun, they're going to sense it. People will sense it. Like we do this episode right now. If we're not having fun, people will sense it. But we're having fun.
It's like energy.
You know?
Yeah.
It's an energy. You're going to give that energy. And especially since there's no one else on the planet like you, there are people on this planet who want your energy specifically. You know? So
the gym right
but
there.
guys, we hope. I think that's about it, CJ. We miss anything?
I think we covered everything. You know, just like a lot of starting issues. You know,
right. Starting and the process, and you know, some of this stuff could not be the most attractive, you know, but it's so important. Enjoying the process, you know, and when you enjoy the process, you're gonna find people that are really inspired by your journey, and that actually adds content. You know, that adds content to your arsenal as well. It's part of your story. It's part of your journey. You know, so, but guys, thank you for listening to this episode. We hope you got value from this episode. If you are on Facebook, we want to encourage you, check out our brand new Facebook group, Confident Video Star Nation. Confident Video Star Nation. Check it out. We'll have the link in the notes area, and we would love for you to join our nation. This is going to be the biggest. This is going to be fire, CJ. It already is fire. You know, already started. We're putting in content every week. We're giving people, like, if you are a coach, a service provider, a podcast, or author who's struggling with getting your brand out on camera and expressing yourself on camera confidently, it might seem like a drag to you. If it feels like a drag to you, you know, check out our group, join our society, join our nation, because we promise you will get value from it, and you will come out more confident and deliver and add your value to this planet.
Join the nation. Don't wait. And it's live. Hey, and it's live. So we get to kind of talk to y'all in a way. You know, like this is recorded. You might be seeing this like a week later, whatever, but that's live. We talk to y'all live. We see a comment. Oh yeah, we'll explain. It'll answer exactly what you say. So make sure you join the live streams, man. We're gonna be happening every single week. Definitely don't want to miss those. Must see.
There you have it. We hope you enjoyed our podcast. If you would, be so kind. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and or if you're listening to any of our platforms, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever one, please be so kind to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. And we'll talk to you soon.